session on tech and dating. I'm Yue, I'm the host of the Dateable podcast, a show all about modern dating. On each episode, we feature real stories from real people of how they make modern dating work or not. It seems like there are a lot of conundrums that people face when it comes to online dating. But before we get to that, I want to talk about the purpose of this panel. We can complain and bitch all we want, but we need some solutions and resolutions on how to make technology work for us instead of against us. So we're gonna learn some ways to leverage technology in our search for love. We're gonna go through all the challenges we hear all the time from our listeners or guests, and then we're gonna try to find ways to resolve these challenges.
So at Coffe meets Bagel, this is obviously an issue we've thought a lot about. And if you've used the app before, you know that you get a limited number of potential free matches every day at noon. It's 6 for girls and 21 for guys. And these numbers aren't random.
21 for guys?
21. But these aren't random numbers. We've thought a lot about them, and we've discovered that they are the sweet spot for each gender. And what I mean by that is it's enough matches where you feel like you've seen a lot of people and you're interested in seeing more, but it's few enough that you still have value attached to each one of these matches. And then additionally, once you match, we give you a 7-day window to chat with the user. You can extend that, but that 7 days kind of gives a sense of urgency, which additionally adds value, we feel.
The people that you're looking for are the ones that we recommend. We think with the algorithm, with all the work, with all the people that we've seen, that one of those is going to be good for you. That doesn't mean that they're going to want you back, but that at least gives you, think about it a few years ago, that was a really rare window where you could go to a bar and meet someone. Now if you go to a bar, they've already met for some other reason. They're going on a date, they're meeting friends, they're too busy for dating, so now we're doing online dating. So now, pick one person that you can talk to, do that for 7 days. Try to keep up the conversation for 7 days with those people. That's really hard. So, one person a day, 2 people a day, that's what we think the sweet spot is.
Have you ever met a user who's basically exhausted all of their options? I know Bumble isn't represented here, but we do have a guy friend who swiped through the end of Bumble. Has that ever happened?
In San Francisco?
Yes.
What happened?
He moved to New York.
It's all about, if you give 21 matches per day, people don't have an infinite swiping option. And therefore, the turnover, the amount of people that come into the app every day is higher than the number of people that actually go out because they find a relationship.
And how do you account for idle accounts, people who've gotten in relationships but they didn't delete their accounts?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So what happens is if you don't specifically tell our application that you've gone on hold, we call it, because you've found the love of your life, we will automatically, the algorithm naturally will start deprioritizing you, obviously, because we prioritize people that are active on their application, that are engaged. And if after a specific number of days, you automatically go on hold, which necessarily means that you have to go back on the app to re-log in and restate your status as looking for a partner.
So we try to differentiate between, have you gone idle because you've gone on vacation? When you're on vacation, you want to disconnect, you want to turn off, you want to refresh. That fatigue syndrome. So if you fatigue every 7 days, let's say, if that's your vacation. So let's not do anything to you because you're going to build this up. We may slow it down, we may speed it up, but now it's very interesting because we're creatures of habit. You're going to do the same thing over and over. And so we can see in the data that you have met someone or you're actually much more interested in another person. So having more people to distract you may not be.
Actually, I think a common theme that I've heard about everyone, including 3-Day Rule, is you create a sense of scarcity. And so with 3-Day Rule, what we do is most people work with us for 6 months, and each month we present them with one match. And so on the back end, what that means is we probably vetted 15, 20 people. We've only picked the best one to present. So by the time we present this one match to the client, it feels valuable. It feels like they should take a second look and really consider it, and it means that most people will say yes. So that's sort of one way that we do it. We bake it into our process. We create this sense of scarcity and that this person is valuable because you get one a month. I think we also do a pretty good job of trying to help our clients navigate all the different things that they're looking for, right? So some clients will come to us and have a checklist of like 30 or 40 things that are absolute must-haves. And so it's our job as matchmakers to really sit down with your clients and understand, okay, let me help you prioritize. If you can only pick 5, what are these attributes and why? And so it's our job to really coach our clients to help them focus and kind of hone in on what they're looking for.
I would like to first address a little bit the online dating. So I feel like online dating gives us the feeling that we are connecting, and at the same time we are disconnecting because we don't have the meaningful connections, and we feel like there is something better out there, as you describe it. And most of the dating apps right now are focused on the quantity instead of quality, and I have to say that Coffee Meets Bagel and League are the better apps out there that are actually focusing on the quality. So it's really hard for my clients to navigate through those options. And what I help my clients with is I tell them to focus on the people who created a good profile, because those people who are investing in their profile, they're going to be investing into you. And second is, when you go on a date without expectations. Because when you have too many expectations of the date that he's gonna or she's going to behave certain way, look at you certain way, then you're gonna be disappointed, because we are all different and we are looking for the meaningful connection. So give a chance to a person who is in front of you. Enjoy the date. A lot of people forget that.
You've all had this happen. You match with someone on one of these apps, you start messaging back and forth, and all of a sudden, you start talking about things that you don't really care about, and the messages dwindle down. It starts off hot and heavy, and then it ends up being something superficial, or the other person doesn't respond back to you. So I want to turn this over to, let's go to the lead. How are you accounting for this challenge?
It's not really in our best interest to keep you in the app. We want you to go out and actually have that date. That's why you're there. You're looking for those people. So we encourage the people to exchange the phone number. Once that's done, it's really, you can take it offline, you can switch to iMessage or whatever is more comfortable for you, because you're having a more realistic connection. For our members, the ability to even see the read receipts, combat flakiness, combat ghostiness, things like that.
Isn't the goal of dating apps to keep users engaged and on the app? So in some ways, it's kind of a conflict, because yes, you want them to find someone they really like, but on the other hand, don't you want to keep them engaged in the app so they keep coming back? So maybe this texting black hole is actually good for business.
It's not in our best interest to just keep you there. There's so many games out there that just want you to get that viral loop. We can't prove that spark, that X factor. We can get you on that date with someone who we think you can find spark.
I think people underestimate how happy we are when people actually write to us, send us postcards, send us pictures of their wedding. We got married and we met through this app. That's unbeatable. It's over everything. And you're in this business if you love that. And you like to see people happy. And that's what we thrive about. It's really, really important for us. On the other side, speaking from a business perspective, there is nothing better than organic referral. If someone met their significant other over Coffee Meets Bagel, you bet they're going to tell their friends. And their friends are going to go on the app. And hopefully we'll provide the best experience possible to their friends too.
Okay. And the texting black hole.
Yeah. So the texting black hole is a huge problem for every online dating application. And probably the way I like to respond to this is through two things, through the product side and the data side. So from the product side, we have specific features that we put into place to help us. One of the features is activity reports, which is one of the features that we have in our app. For anyone who isn't familiar what activity reports is, it is literally what it is. It's a report of someone's activity on the application. So if you are looking for someone that is engaged, well, you're going to see statistics for that. You're going to see that he's actually active on the application. And it's just going to give you like additional information to like select on top of the app. On top of this, we found out statistically that some people don't actually write, like open up the conversation simply because they don't know how to. So what we do is we provide icebreakers, which is actually an amazing way to get people engaged. We prioritize matches that have mutual friends. So that increases your level of accountability. And also your probability to engage with the people that have mutual friends. This makes every match not a product, but an actual person, like someone that you're actually interested about, that you read about them. And because you have that social connection, that's hugely important. The algorithm will prioritize people that are actively engaged, that actively want to use the application. So if you are looking for someone out there and you put your efforts, we'll make sure that you get matched with the best people possible.
How many of you have just sent out a bunch of haze in a row, just hoping one person will respond back, right? We've all done that. If we invest more in our messaging and know what your goal is, we get this question a lot. How do I take this offline? If that's your goal, is to meet someone online to take it offline, then you should try to do that in your messaging.
What is interesting about the black holes is, and the behavior on online dating is that online dating was thrown at us, and nobody said how to behave. There were never written rules, social rules about how we should behave. When we were little kids, your mom would always tell you, okay, you have to answer this question. Somebody's asking you a question. You have to say thank you. You have to say hello. So we grow up with the social norms, how we should behave, right? But when the modern technology came and on all the dating apps, nobody said how we should behave.
Online dating is superficial and filtering based on age, height. I'm going to throw this over to 3-day rule. Do you think preference matching can really predict chemistry?
I would say that the number one thing that we work on with our clients is to be open-minded, exactly the way you did. People have these really short preferences. They'll say, I only want to date 35 to 40. And then we'll say, if I found the perfect guy for you and he was 41, are you going to say no? They'll say, no, I would say yes. So people are just narrowing their pool. And every time you add something on your checklist, you're really narrowing it further.
I would suggest to narrow it to 3 to 5 really core values that you're looking for a partner. And once you start doing it, they start coming up with a very more meaningful things than just the height and color of your hair. Right?
The struggle with dating apps is that you can't really filter based on if they're caring or compassionate or empathetic, just based on pictures and a profile alone. So Coffe meets Bagel, how do you, first of all, do you match people and then just give them everybody in their matches with that they match these preferences, or do you do any level of curation?
We also have another section that we call our Discover section, which show you potential matches that are a little bit outside of your criteria range. And we've seen that it's been very successful and has a very high match rate and continued relationship rate.
So one thing I wanted to say is that many people say explicitly they want something, but they really want something else.
Exactly.
Right?
It's like, do you guys ever read Modern Romance by Aziz Ansari?
Yes.
Yeah, great book. You guys should check it out. He talks about this. We really don't know what we want. That's pretty much the
We know
summary.
what you want.
And so what our algorithms do is they learn over time. They learn your behavior. They learn how you interact with other people and the depth of that interaction. And we use that information to then recommend you great matches every day.
I just have a question because chemistry is not based on algorithm. And you cannot make connections. I mean, you can make an algorithm based on facts, but chemistry is not.
Oh, cool. Right. So what we try to do with our systems is try to learn as much as possible. Probably, it's really hard to specify chemistry. If we find the best approximation possible, and we give a high throughput of matches, right? Of high quality matches, which are still capped. We try to aim for the best possible outcome.
What we often see is that people are stuck in their own type. What does that mean? You only know what you know, right? So you're looking for someone that you've already dated before. How do you, Tim, we can throw it over to you, how does the league help people expand outside of their type?
So we get that question a lot to our concierge, and the concierge at the league is really human meets technology. And what that means to us is the team of concierge that support our users enables them, the user, to come to the concierge and say, I'm really getting stuck. I see the same thing, I keep getting into the same problems. And usually you're starting off with, hey, here's a better way to start that off. Or, I'm afraid to message a guy. And so we recommend, let's go a little bit outside of it. Here's a line that can help. Try this, and all of a sudden people get better. Or, I actually just talked to a guy that would probably be perfect for you. His preference is nowhere near yours. But if you open up your preferences, we're not saying reduce your preferences, but try it out, see what happens. You may really have a good experience.
Does anybody use the concierge?
There we go. Look.
Great.
Fantastic. Some of the concierge.
I know that for the females, there's a really hot concierge, a guy. But we all think that as like a really hot girl.
She's hot, yeah.
Or she's hot. Okay. You might want to make them less hot.
I make a note really quick on the preferences, the question that you just asked. The majority of our success stories come to us wanting something, and we match them with someone pretty different, and they go on to get married. So a lot of people come to us with, this is everything that I want, but it's not necessarily what they need. And it's really important to work with a matchmaker and talk with them about what are your goals, what would you like in the future, how would you like to raise your children? Because I think a lot of people are not looking at it in the right way. They're focused on what they saw in movies or maybe what their parents told them. It's not necessarily what they need for the future.
So Talia, how do you convince people to believe that, whatever you're giving them may be better for them?
Yeah. A lot of it is trust. We work really closely with people for 6 months. They're gonna trust us and go on the date. At the very least, they walk away a more confident dater and they've learned a lot about themselves.
You might not have the statistics for this, but how often do you see a client ending up with someone that they never thought they would end up with?
It's the majority of the time.
And one other way that we're able to open up people's minds is we will deliver a match that exactly fits what they said they were looking for. So a lot of times clients will be like, oh my God, you were right, like you were on the dot, he met A, B, and C, but I just wasn't feeling it. Let's try something new. And so that's another way that we're able to open up clients' minds as well.
That's a great point, because again, on the podcast, we hear people staying within their comfort zone. So you become these dating robots where you can go on these dates and have a great date because you know exactly what to say, you know the mannerisms, you know where to go, but then you leave and you think, was that a good date or was I just entertaining myself, right? So I think what we hear is the minute you feel like you're being pushed out of your comfort zone with someone, that's when you're making a true connection. You're feeling vulnerable, you're feeling just a little bit of discomfort, and that's when you can really connect with someone. Is romance dead? So with online dating, you know everything about someone before you even meet them, and some of us, guilty, do a little background check, maybe once in a while, you just do a little Google, LinkedIn, call up a friend, local police station, whatever. So there's something great about not knowing too much about someone before meeting them. How much information should people give in their dating profiles?
If I advise my clients on the best way to connect, I would say stay away from the obvious hard topics as in money, religion, and politics. I would also recommend staying away from Facebooks and Instagram. I know it's hard, a lot of people have public Facebooks and public Instagrams, and the first thing I advise my clients, turn it off. Don't allow people to look at it because you're spoiling the mystery. You're spoiling all the beautiful things you can do together, because if somebody looks at your profile on Facebook, they see your whole life.
I think that romantic comedies have ruined this for us because A lot of people go on these first dates and they expect butterflies, and if they don't have it, they won't go on a second date. And we are true believers in the slow burn. I really think if you go on a date with someone, you're remotely attracted to them, they seem like a nice person, you have to give them another shot. Because people are nervous, they might be straight out of work, there's so many reasons why they might not be their best self. And when you go on a second date or third date and really give them a shot, then their true personality comes out. And so many of our success stories happen this way. We kind of push people to go on a second date and they end up married.
How much information is too much information to disclose in your online dating profile?
I mean, I think you want to, going back to what we said before, you want to keep it light, and you don't want to share your emotional baggage, you don't want to share, you don't want to come off as overly negative. You want to show, it's, in some sense, it's a marketing exercise. You want to show the best sides of yourself, right? Because you're kind of competing with other people and you want to kind of stand out. And so, just basic stats about yourself, your hobbies, one or two interesting things that might make you stand out. And then just wait till the actual date happens to meet them, and then you can divulge more about your background, your history, but you really want to keep it light and friendly and fun.
The biggest problem we always hear is that because online dating has gamified the dating process, it's commoditized people and they're making people disposable. So what we often hear are these terms like benching, ghosting, breadcrumbing, and now there's zombieing. All these new terms keep popping up. And my friend would put it best. He goes, "These are all just terms for people being assholes." I mean, that's it. Until you meet that person in real life, they're not a real person. They're just a profile. How are you helping people to become more accountable in their actions?
So we had mentioned one of our features prior, that was the activity report, and we implemented that so users can be aware of the fact that other users know that they're talking in the app, they're active within the app, and they're always aware of that so they can be more accountable. Also, we mentioned that we use Facebook to log in, and a lot of our matches we send you have mutual friends, and those mutual friends hold you a little bit of accountable if you're trying to be an asshole on our app, we hope.
If you're, for example, just vanity swiping, or if you're just simply trying to do it for your own personal lust, our system will understand that. And we will obviously value a like from you far less than we would value a like from someone else, which gives their only like to a specific person.
You've said something back to someone, they early expire. What that means to us is you've matched with someone and then you become really a different person over time. And you get that early expire. Well, the person may reach out to their concierge and say, well, I was matched with someone that disappeared from the network. They flagged me, they blocked me. All of those are hints to us to say, this user is not accountable for their own actions. Maybe they should be elsewhere. Maybe they shouldn't be finding people on the network.
And what about 3-day rule? I'm sure you've had clients who've flaked out, stood someone up on a date. How do you, punish them?
Well, we do a couple of things. One, as Tina mentioned before, we do post-date feedback. So the daters are accountable. They have to call us after and tell us what happened on the date. And that way, there's no ghosting because we know exactly what happened. And I think the best part about our service is we can help our clients. So maybe they're getting ghosted a lot in the real world, but now we know why. So it's possible our clients are interviewing people on the dates and making them uncomfortable. We have guys walking into the date and shaking the hand, the girl's hand, and all of a sudden they're in business mode. So these really small tweaks can make a big difference. And then, ultimately they'll not get ghosted as much in real life.
This is a phenomenon we've been seeing on our podcast, is that men and women complain about the exact same things about each other. People in New York, in San Francisco, in LA complain about the exact same things. What's happening here? The things that you're not happy with when it comes to online dating, you're putting out there as well. And we get back what we put out there. So in terms of accountability, it starts with us. If you don't like someone who's benching you, ghosting you, you shouldn't do that to them either. If you don't like the hey messaging or the messaging black hole, don't put that out there either. We have to look to ourselves because obviously, if we're all complaining about the same things, we're all guilty of doing these things. Okay, I'm going to take it into Q&A session now. Does anybody have any questions?
A lot of people like to talk about 420 friendly on their profile. That's something I like to do. It's very personal to me, but I'm pretty candid about it. I'm wondering if that's something that's a deal breaker when it comes to dating people, or at least putting it online at first and then disclosing it later. I don't know. What would you suggest?
I think if it's really important to you, then it's okay to include it in the profile. But if you're open to dating people that aren't 420 friendly, then save it for later, the third, fourth date.
I would also say, there's dating apps for everybody. There's a 420 friendly dating app out there. You might want to check that out. Yeah.
Something I noticed as I use the apps is that I run into a lot of the exact same profile over and over again. I run into the sort of archetype that I run into repeatedly in San Francisco. Somebody who loves travel, is a foodie, is into adventure, likes to read a book once in a while, all of these things, and it tells me absolutely nothing about them, because pretty much everybody likes these things. How do you get around this, or maybe this is a cultural thing, but how do you solve this problem?
Okay. Well, the way we solve it is that we write the bio based on our feelings meeting that person. So when we send you a bio, it's based on our meeting. So we'll say, we met this girl, she's incredible, she's witty, she's done all these things in her past. So you get so much more information about that person. It's based on our experience.
Yeah, for us, the people that show up on other applications, they use the same photo. The way that you come onto the league is there's a review process here, right? So we don't really need more lawyers on our app. We have the lawyers in the league. So now it's, are you a Doctors Without Borders? Are you doing something that's different than Machu Picchu?
And Lucie said this earlier, the more you invest in your profile, the better of a response you're going to get. So I think this is actually good news for you because you just weed out all the people who have the generic profiles and you'll find a few that actually spent time doing their own profile. And then I'll throw it back to you, make sure your profile isn't generic and get rid of those Machu Picchu pictures.
All right, curious, 10 years in the future, is online dating, is this just the new normal? I think now when you meet someone online, it's like, oh, you met online, it's still kind of taboo, but say 10 years is down the line, is meeting someone online just going to be, that's how we're used to meeting someone?
I love the fact that online dating is a tool, right? But you have to go on a real date. You have to meet a person in real life. So use this tool as best as possible, but you never want to change the actual way you meet people. Like organic connections are obviously amazing.
10 years from now, when we've learned how to be accountable online, what the consequences of our actions are, hopefully it's not too late, but we'll meet people who also want themselves.
And just a technology-based answer to that question is we're exploring this idea of VR dating, virtual reality dating. So beyond online dating apps, beyond the websites, imagine 2 years, 1 year from now, 6 months from now, you just put on your VR goggles and you could be meeting someone from Germany at a coffee shop in France. So what's going to happen? That's kind of the question we have to answer. How's technology going to help us to connect deeper, not just connect more? One last question.
What are your thoughts, even if anecdotal, about fake profiles? And balance of genders in the heterosexual dating pool?
Very easy for us to tell. It's got one photo, it's got no LinkedIn data. The history is there. And Facebook history goes back for 15 years now. So if you have a history of a year, maybe you just discovered the internet. If you have no LinkedIn history and no work history and you've never been to a school, and your photos actually appear everywhere else online, I don't know, what does it look like?
With Coffe meets Bagel, it's the same thing. You have an approval process before you're actually shown in the wild. There is an approval process, and that's when we have like a multitude of algorithms or and customer service that basically make sure that you are you are not a scammer. And obviously, like there are obvious people and there are not obvious people, right? So as saying previously, obvious people have like no mutual friends, a new Facebook profile with 0 friends. These are easy things to spot. These are things that we block from day 0.
Try and disconnect. Try and disconnect once in a while, just to see what else is out there. If you don't go to a baseball game, go to a baseball game. You'll meet someone, and then bring that back into online, because you've learned more about yourself.
I always go back to just being open-minded. Like, use all the apps, they're all amazing, there's so many resources out there, but expand your mindset.
Tip for women is message first. A lot of women are still pretty traditional, but what they don't realize is that men love getting messages online. If you look at the average male's inbox versus the average female's inbox, it's a huge difference. So you really stand out when you make the first move, and why not? Just send a quick message and good things can happen.
I know, I do. My advice would be quality. I see it in myself all the time. I just fall into a routine. I do the same date, I send the same messages. Really, what am I expecting to get out of that? I need to put in the time, I need to put in the effort, to make quality dates, have quality conversation, have a quality profile. Get out what you put in.
I would say try swiping less and try just getting a fixed number of people that you want to match today. Take it very seriously. Limit the number of options you have per day and consider every person as unique.
I would say go on a real date and have so much fun with your date and enjoy your date.
I would say 2 things. One is quality over quantity, filter better. If you don't filter better, you're just going to go on a bunch of crappy dates. You're going to be in a bad mood. Filter better. Make that phone call if you can. Second one is be accountable. If you want other people to be accountable, you should be accountable too. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. Again, if you're not familiar with the Dateable podcast, we have a show, it's a weekly show, and we feature these real dating stories, and we had an episode that just came out yesterday about a guy who's 30 and he has never kissed a girl. And it's not a rare situation, you know, because San Francisco attracts a lot of high-achieving individuals who focus on their schoolwork, who focus on their academic career, who focus on their careers. And they come to San Francisco and they end up in, you know, like in their adulthood and they think, maybe now it's time to be in a relationship. Does that just happen like that? Boom, get into it? It doesn't happen like that. So that episode is actually really interesting because I think we can all find it pretty relatable. How do you actually go and make that effort to be in a relationship with someone? We're also looking for people to be on our show for season 6, which is going to start in January. So I'm sure you all have interesting dating stories. I want to hear all about it. The whole world wants to hear all about it. We're at 500,000 listens, so you're going to be broadcasting to a lot of people, but we can keep you anonymous. And here's a little secret, we can also change your voice. Yeah, if you're a man, I can change you into a woman.